Welcome back. In this second episode of our video series on anticipatory governance and foresight, in support of the Foundational Digital Capabilities Research Program, we explore how we can use the future in scholarship and research design. If our first video asks why the future matters, this one asks how we can work with it. The future is not simply something that happens to us. It is a space we can engage with to shape questions, frame choices, and test ideas. As such, how we use the future is an important part of how we make sense of the world, of our options, and our risks. In a world of complex systems and problems, it is also a way of being more creative and responsible, rather than just reductionist and overwhelmed. On foresight methodologies, often futures are presented as long lists of methods and tools, literally running into dozens, perhaps even hundreds. We caution against the method-led approach to anticipation, futures, and foresight, preferring the capability-based approach that embeds futures literacy and emphasizes futures-oriented agency in the present. Foresight is not prediction. It's preparation, creativity, responsibility, and anticipation. So the natural question comes, how can researchers actually do this? Let's walk through a practical framework for visioning and scenarios. There are 4 stages to consider. The first stage is to start with a clear question and purpose. Therefore, future-informed research starts by asking what issues we're really exploring and why does it matter. Stage 2 asks us to think differently about change. So a futures wheel is also a foresight technique and can trace direct and indirect effects of a development. Another foresight technique is the 3 horizons. It is a framework that helps compare today's practices with tomorrow's possibilities. Together, these 2 among many help you challenge assumptions and see systems as dynamic. How we use the future shapes how we make sense of our world, our assumptions, our options, and our risks.
We can also use foresight to help imagine alternative futures. Academic research benefits when we explore more than one plausible future. Scenarios can help us consider how key uncertainties might play out. They are often used to challenge our assumptions and to consider alternatives. Systems methodologies allow us to reimagine how elements interact under different sets of assumptions or perspectives. In scholarship, this stage widens imagination, supports interdisciplinary thinking, and strengthens policy relevance by giving consideration to the dynamic conditions of change. Futures thinking here turns research from reactive observation and linear thinking into anticipatory insight.
Navigating uncertainty. Once alternatives are on the table, we test them. Here are 3 foresight methods that we usually test. First, visioning. It helps define preferred features. Second, backcasting. It starts from that future and works backward to pathways. And third, wind tunneling. It stress tests strategies across scenario. In the African context, this is where foresight becomes powerful. It links evidence with lived realities, indigenous knowledge, and the ambitions of our community. And as I like to say, foresight is about expanding agency, not predicting destiny.
So in conclusion, how do we use the future in research and scholarship? We start with a clear purpose, think differently about change, imagine alternatives, and navigate uncertainties. Therefore, futures thinking strengthens our capacity to design research that is rigorous, responsible, and relevant, of course, globally and in Africa. Remember, context governs meaning. This is very important. As such, the next time you begin a project, ask not just what is happening, but what future are we helping to create? Look out for our next episode on Africa's digital transformation and its governance, the long view. The next episode will examine long-term trends and governance challenges in Africa.